Have you ever bought a blender only to end up with chunky smoothies and extra cleanup? So you looked up best blender and came across the Vitamix sitting at $400 and wondered if it's really 10 times better than a $40 blender? In this video, I'm putting the $40 Hamilton Beach and the $400 Vitamix head to head with real tests, crushing ice, making smoothies, turning oats into flour, and even homemade peanut butter. Starting with the most basic test, turning ice into snow. Both of them are getting about 1 cup of ice, and then we'll throw the lids on each of them. And let's start with the Hamilton Beach. We're gonna start the timer and start blending the ice to see how long it takes. Here we go. And after about 15 seconds, we're not making much progress. The ice isn't really making it down. I'm gonna cheat a little bit and help it down while it blends with the Vitamix's pusher here and give it another 15 seconds. Yeah, that was stupid. Okay, so there's no way to really push the ice down while it's blending because the hole on the top here just isn't big enough for that. So unfortunately, our Hamilton Beach has just failed this test. Let's see if the Vitamix passes though. Let's start our timer and get the Vitamix blending. And after about 10 seconds, it looks fully done. Here are the results 10 seconds in, and that was on the lowest blend setting pretty much. And that's what it looks like on a spoon. So, I mean, yeah, we've pretty much got snow in ice in 10 seconds with the Vitamix, which means the Vitamix took an easy lead here. It's now 1-0. Let's move on to level 2, which are smoothies. Smoothies are pretty much the most common reason people buy a blender. So let's see if the Vitamix makes a smoothie that's $360 better. For our smoothie, we're starting with about a half a cup of ice, a cup or so of frozen fruits, including strawberries, mangoes, and peaches, into each blender, 1 cup of milk, and about a half a scoop of protein powder. Once again, we'll start the timer and let's blend our Hamilton Beach first and see how it turns out. And after about 45 seconds or so, nothing else is really happening. Now, while this one was blending, it would kind of mix ingredients up for a few seconds. Then just the blade was spinning for a few seconds and that cycle would repeat over and over. So it wasn't really getting the best blend throughout. But let's move on to our Vitamix. Starting our timer and let's blend. And about 15 to 20 seconds into blending our Vitamix, nothing else seemed to be happening there. So now let's check which one came out smoother. So first up, the pour test from our Hamilton Beach. And that looks pretty chunky there, although I'm not seeing like chunks of ingredients so far. And next up, the pour test from our Vitamix, which honestly, it kind of looks even thicker, or maybe about the same. Again, I'm not feeling any food chunks into there. It just has that kind of chunky texture to it. But now let's taste test, starting with our Hamilton Beach. I would say this is about 80% smooth. For the most part, the drink is, but you do get some small pieces of ice that you're gonna crunch through. And also I can kind of taste some of like the peels of the fruit. It almost tastes like not in liquid consistency. Compared to our Vitamix, I would put this one more at 90 to 95% blended. There are actually still some small pieces of ice that I'm crunching through, but significantly less than the Hamilton Beach. And also I don't taste anything else outside of those small crunches of ice. So the Vitamix took half the time or even less than the Hamilton Beach, but I can't honestly say that this smoothie from the Vitamix is $360 better than the Hamilton Beach. So I'm gonna give the win in this round to the Hamilton Beach. I think it did a good enough job with the smoothie. Let's now take it one step further and see which of these blenders can turn rolled oats into oat flour. I'm putting about 1 cup of oats into each of the blenders. And I've never done this before, but apparently you just blend now for like 30 to 60 seconds and you get flour. I'm gonna try it on the grind setting with the Hamilton Beach. So let's start our timer and get this rolling. And about 60 seconds later, I was still seeing a little bit of oats at the bottom of the blender, but I feel like that's definitely most of it. And if you just take a look in there, I'd say it's like maybe 80% flour inside of there, so not perfect, especially on the bottom there. Now a lot of the oats are starting to come up, but overall not terrible. And now for our Vitamix. And this one I gave 30 seconds because it does look fully blended 30 seconds into it, and honestly even sooner. There is what our results look like, and I would say that's 100% oat flour. I'm not seeing any oats left into there. And honestly, I think we got to this point in about 15 to 20 seconds. So very clearly our Vitamix is the winner of this test. But for our final round, let's see if either of the blenders can make homemade peanut butter. For this, we're starting with 1 cup of dry roasted peanuts, and they are salted. And then I'm gonna drizzle in about a tablespoon or 2 of maple syrup just to give the peanut butter some sweetness, along with about 1 teaspoon of oil. Hopefully that'll help it kind of blend up a little easier. And I'm gonna run our Hamilton Beach on the puree setting, so let's get the timer started and see how it does. And that is about 60 seconds down. And here is what it looks like. There's clearly a ton of peanuts still in there. And that's what our peanut butter looks like. Not peanut butter at all, unless you like the chunkiest and powderiest peanut butter that you could ever find. It does taste really good though. But now, will our Vitamix do better? Let's start the timer and let's roll. And about 50 seconds in, nothing else is really happening, so let's take a look. Now the Vitamix obviously had the added benefit of me being able to put the stick in there and help it grind the peanuts as it's going. If the Hamilton Beach had the same, I might have ended up with the same results, but let's look at how this actually turned out. So there is a first look at it. Still looks like very chunky peanut butter, and I would say it's definitely a lot better of a peanut butter consistency. Now, does it look like store-bought peanut butter? Definitely not. I probably need a bunch more oil to solidify this into something creamy looking, but it does look pretty good and has a relatively firm texture. And taste-wise, significantly creamier than the Hamilton Beach. The Hamilton Beach tastes like you're eating a powder. This actually tastes very close to eating peanut butter. And aside from the extreme chunkiness from all the peanuts that are definitely still in there, it's probably some of the best peanut butter I've ever had, which means the Vitamix wins our 4th and final test. So which do I recommend? If you're looking for a blender that only makes smoothies because that's all you want it for, and you just want something that's good enough, go with the Hamilton Beach. It's $360 cheaper and does almost as good of a job as the Vitamix for making smoothies. But if you want a blender for literally anything else, I have to still recommend the Vitamix. So you've seen how the $40 Hamilton Beach compares to the $400 Vitamix. But what if we throw in NutriBullet's most powerful blender ever? Well, I put it to the test against the Vitamix in this video right here.